Hey guys, welcome to another episode on Kind Spirit Tech. So today we are going to talk about these pie plots with R programming language and GGPlot package. So what we actually have in here? We have four different categories with three values for each of them and label with numerical value that is represented by pi element. So now let's go to our code. So now I'm just going to save this and run it. Make some space. So what I have in here, in first line we have import declaration for our ggplot2 library. On last line we have ggsave commented, and in here I have created one data frame with three columns. First column it's ID with values from 1 to 12, with column G that stands for group, also 12 values that represent groups, and finally with column Y we have our values. But this data frame, it's not going to be enough in order to create this kind of pie chart. Let me show you why. So I'm going to create plot with GGPlot library. Let's provide it our data as data source. And first thing that I'm going to create, it's GEOM RECT. So we are going to have rectangles. And aesthetics x min, and I'm going to set everything to 0 just for now. X max 0, y min 0, and y max 0. I'm going to group it by factor g, so factor of group, and fill it by factor of G2. You don't have to worry about Y min and Y max element, because in here we are just going to set height of our rectangles. So let's say 5, that's gonna be enough. But in here we have a problem, because with x min we are actually going to set beginning of every rectangle, and with x max we are going to set end of our rectangle. And we don't have those kind of values in here. So the best way for us is to calculate those and to append those columns to our data frame. And for that purpose we are going to create one empty collection and variable counter set to 0, not 50, 0. Now I'm going to create one for loop for I in collection of from 1 to length of data y. Okay, so in this way we are going to iterate through every index of our data y column, and I want to append element to our empty collection with function append. So we are going to append to collection S value of counter, and now in next iteration actual value of counter is going to be counter plus data y with index I. So what we are doing in this case, counter in first case is going to be a 0 because we want to start our rectangles from the beginning. And every next counter is going to be calculated from value of previous counter and value of rectangle width. And in that way we are going to get starting point for our next rectangle. And now I'm just going to append this collection to our data source. So to data we are going to append S, and let's print all of this out. Of course I'm just going to comment this ggplot function for now, save it, run it, and let's see what we have. Our first rectangle is going to start from x0 and is going to end with x14, because 0 and 14, that is width of our first rectangle, it's 14, Our second rectangle is going to start from 14 because first one ended at this point. And a 14 plus 17, it's 71. That is exactly where our third rectangle is going to start. And now when we have a beginning of our rectangle, I'm going to calculate end. So we are going to do that in exact the same way. We are going to call another collection, E for end. Let's use our counter, set it to 0. And now for I in collection from 1 to length of data y. And now we are going to deal with counter value first. Counter plus data y with index of y, and then we are going to append our counter, and let's bind that data to our data frame like this. To data we are going to append collection E, and let's print all of that out. Okay, I probably have some typo in here. I have to comment all of 3 lines. Run it again. Let's see what we have. Now we have starting and ending point. So first rectangle is going to start on point 0 and is going to end with point 14. So 14 is our width. Second rectangle is going to start on point 14 up to point 31. Third with 31 up to 53. So this is totally fine. And let's uncomment our GGPlot function, so I don't need to print this to the screen anymore. Now I can say that x is going to be s and x max it's going to be end, so from the start to the end. And let's see what we have now. So it's group, save it, run it again, and export it. Now we should see our result, and in order to see better I'm going to add just color element, and now I'm just going to remove this legend. Equals none. Let's see what we have now. And now let's create some labels. GEOM label with aesthetics x is going to be on the starting point plus let's say 5. That's gonna be fine. Y is going to be, let's say, 4, and label let's set to y. Let's see what we have now. And finally let's create our radial plot with chord polar. Run it. Let's set it to 6. Okay, this looks nice. And I'm going to add alpha effect to this pie chart. Let's say 0.85. That's gonna be fine. Run it. Maybe some more. Let's say 75. Run it again. Okay, this is better. And now I'm going to teach you a few more interesting things. Let's say that you want to change color palette. There is one interesting way with function scale fill breadth and set pellet to 1, run it. Okay, this is different. 2, 3. So now you understand how this works. And I want to show you another interesting thing in here. With chord polar, we could provide optional argument theta, and default it's actually x. If I run this, you see we are at the beginning, but if I change this to y, our values are going to be arranged in different way. So not according to x-axis, but according to y-axis. So guys, this is all for this episode. I hope that you have learned something interesting. So please like, subscribe, and see ya!